Lansing. But that being said, our team has done a fantastic job getting our office up to speed here. So I'm excited to introduce everyone to our team and our team members. We're fully staffed, and so they'll be joining us later today to introduce themselves, and then also kind of run through a legislative update of just what's been happening in Lansing the last few weeks. We'll give kind of a sense of some of the questions that we've been getting from constituents. We've had great engagement. We've had a number of emails and phone calls come through, and so it's been great to engage with so many people. I've had a chance to personally have just hundreds of meetings and conversations with stakeholders around the Lansing community to really, hit the ground running here and be effective for everyone. And so, and then, we've had committee assignments, we had the state of the state. So we have a lot to cover today. So we'll get through that. I know there's been a number of questions that have been submitted, so we have a lot to cover. But before we get into that stuff, let me bring in the team so we can kind of get some of those introductions out of the way. So first, I'd like to introduce Hannah Chapman. Hannah is coming with a great deal of Lansing experience. She will be our policy director. She has worked in a number of offices. And so I think, Hannah, if you wouldn't mind just saying a couple words introducing yourself.
Yeah, hi, everyone. I am really happy to be here today. And like Ranjiv said, I have some experience in a few other offices in Lansing, other representatives, both in the policy role and in the constituent relations role. So I'm looking forward to joining this team and, helping Ranjiv navigate Lansing and, taking, our conversations that we have here in the community back to Lansing and being able to do what we can with that to make it into policy. So I'm really excited to be here with everyone today.
Awesome. Thank you, Hannah, for joining. And then next, I'm going to be introducing Ashley Christian, who actually is coming to our office and worked in my predecessor, Christy Pagan's office. She comes with a tremendous amount of in-district experience. So she is very familiar with the intricacies of the 21st House District. So welcome, Ashley.
Hi, everybody. I'm really excited to be here today. Like Ranjiv said, I used to work for Representative Pagan, so I'm excited to be continuing my work within the 21st District. I do a lot of the constituent relations work, so whenever you call into the office, you'll probably be hearing my voice, and I am happy to help you guys figure out any issues that you have going on. Feel free to contact our office if you have any problems in the future, and I'm just happy to continue working with you guys.
Awesome. Thank you, Ashley, for joining, and Hannah. Everything that's going well about this call is solely because of them. These guys absolutely know what they're doing. We are actually streaming live on a number of platforms right now. This is our first time doing this, so please excuse any technical glitches on my end here. But please, if you haven't, there are sign-in forms pinned in the chat function. So please just sign in. I think there's a number of questions that will just help us kind of make sure that these are running efficiently as possible, make sure that we're picking times that work for everybody. So please do that. You can also submit questions in the chat function to make sure that we are answering everyone's questions. We've had a number submitted. We're going to do our best to try to get through all of those as quickly as possible. But yeah, so I guess just kind of getting into a little bit of an update here. So we'll start with just on the legislative side, kind of what's been happening in Lansing. So our first official day of session was on January 13th. We were able to meet that day. It was ceremonial for most purposes. We got a couple pictures taken. It was nice to get into Lansing and to get into the chamber and kind of make this all feel a little bit more real. As many of you remember, we were elected in early November. And so since then, I've been state rep-elect. And so I've been anxious to actually get going. And so that was nice to do that. But unfortunately, after that, we ended up having to cancel session due to so many of the security concerns. So Michigan was in the news, unfortunately, mostly for the wrong reasons. The following week, that, for anyone who's able to see pictures there, we called in the National Guard. There was a fence, a security fence put around the Capitol complex. And really out of, an abundance of caution, they canceled session for the entire week. I agreed with the decision. There's absolutely no point in legislating, under threat, especially when committee assignments hadn't been given out that time, and there really wasn't any material legislation on the table that particular week. And so fortunately, all the steps to mitigate the threats were fairly successful. I did not hear of much material damage. And so that was really good to hear. Unfortunately, the fear doesn't really go away. Out of this, the State Capitol Commission did ban open carry in our Capitol building. Michigan is one of the few state capitals that allows guns inside the Capitol. Prior to that ruling, people could bring in any gun they want, go into the viewing gallery and have their guns in hand as we legislate on the floor right below them. It's a really intimidating and hostile work environment. And so, I obviously applaud the step to ban open carry. I think it's one of many, many steps that need to be taken, but it's obviously in the right direction. And so actually, as my very first legislative action, I penned a letter to the State Capitol Commission calling on them to go even further, to go beyond the open carry ban and to also ban concealed carry weapons, to install metal detectors, and just to take the safety of legislators, of children who go to field trips to the Capitol, and any visitor, to make sure that safety is paramount. There's really no reason for assault rifles and guns to be in our Capitol. So that was something that I was really proud for me to kind of be my first action. So that unfortunately, with the complex closed, we weren't really allowed in Lansing, all the surrounding buildings. And, we did, as I said, we did get through that. But then this past week, things opened up and started to normalize a little bit. We had session. And so it was great to get going. We didn't vote on anything too material. There was a couple of resolutions passed and things of that nature. Our caucus is doing a good job of social distancing and making sure that we are taking care of each other. The mask requirement does not apply inside the legislature. So there are a number of legislature, and so there's a number of legislators who are that don't abide by any sort of mask mandate or anything like that. And so it's not the safest of environments, in my opinion. And so that being said, maybe because I'm a lowly freshman, I drew the short straw and was put up in the gallery. Either that or my colleagues already don't like me, one of the two. But I am, for the next couple of weeks, will be sitting on the gallery and voting from there remotely. Remotely in the sense where you're not actually in my physical seat. But it's great because we can at least still be productive while being socially distant. And so obviously we want to be as safe as we possibly can be. And so, there's a number there's a number of legislative actions that our office is taking. We actually co-sponsored our first bill. Those were bills out of Representative Brixey and Representative Tyrone Carter's office in Detroit to ban concealed carry. So again, going back to the gun and safety issue, these would ban concealed carry in the Capitol and the surrounding buildings. Again, I just think it's a step we need to be taking. This obviously is not about taking people's guns from them or going to their house and taking guns or whatever the spin is on these things. It's just about keeping our workplace safe, to make sure that all of us can legislate in an effective manner, free of threat, and making sure that we're making the best decisions without being under any sort of assault. And so that was a major thing that we were working on. Our office is also drafting up some legislation around some environmental issues and some diversity and inclusion issues and some labor practice issues. And so those are in the works and should be dropping in the next week or two. We're really excited about just kind of our first couple steps here. I believe we're allowed to introduce 5 pieces of legislation each month. I'm still learning, but I think that's the number. And so we hope to take advantage of as many as we can to introduce, just legislation that obviously that improves the lives of all Michiganders. And, and if one of my colleagues introduces a great bill, we have no problem co-sponsoring anything. And so we look to be just a very strong voice for everything that we campaigned on, and just fighting for just a better Michigan. So I'm really excited about that. And so on that topic, we talked for years about how we need to prioritize public education, how we need to modernize our economy, how we need to prioritize our environment, how diversity and inclusion and equity issues are so important. And so those are things that I'm absolutely going to be championing in Lansing. Those are things I'm going to be pounding the table for to make sure that we are taking care of all of those issues and everything else, especially in this environment in a pandemic when our state budget is all out of sorts. It's really a time for us to make sure that we are prioritizing the values that we hold close to our heart, that we are, again, taking care of that. So that's, obviously going to be what I'm doing. With that, we were given our committee assignments. And so I was fortunate enough to be given 3 committees, which I'm really excited about. The first is the Transportation Committee. And so that one obviously deals with transportation related issues. And so, just given my background, my professional background in the automotive industry, I think that's just a really strong fit. I think that there's a lot of ideas that I have for kind of modernize our infrastructure to really make sure that we're preparing, for our economy and our infrastructure for the jobs of tomorrow. So I'm really excited about that one. Another big one that I was placed on was the Energy Committee. That is a very active committee that deals with a tremendous amount of issues in the, in the environmental and energy space. So I'm ready for just a number of conversations and bills to come through that committee. Really excited to be a voice on that. I think, again, a lot of the issues and things that I want to champion regarding electric vehicles and just modernizing kind of our infrastructure with the mobility movement. A lot of that's going to go through there. And so I think that's going to provide a great platform for me to achieve a lot of the things that I've been hoping to accomplish. And then lastly, I also was placed on the Agricultural Committee, which is awesome because the agriculture industry in Michigan here has so much potential. There's just a lot we can be doing. Candidly speaking, I look forward to kind of getting up to speed and kind of learning all the complexity and nuance, within that industry. But, from just the research that myself and my team have already done, I know that there's a lot of potential for just where things can go in Michigan. And so really excited about my committee updates. We're going to be making sure that we are very transparent on any votes that we take within committee. And so just please follow us on social media, attend these these coffee hours here, subscribe to our e-news, and just stay in touch with our office. We would love just to, make sure that communication is just very, very, robust, especially in this time. And so, so that's just a little bit about Lansing, and I kind of just been speeding through everything, and I just want to slow things down a little bit and make sure that I do prioritize and just shed some light on our current situation here. We are in the middle of a pandemic. These times are unprecedented. And so, it has been my goal to establish an office that is very functional and very effective. I am beyond honored to have just a rock star team as part of our team behind the scenes here that just does fantastic work. And so, we are here for you. We read every email that we get. We check the mail. We read the letters. We listen to every voicemail. No message that comes through our office does not get checked. Nothing gets ignored. We take each and every one of our constituents' thoughts and opinions very seriously and close to our heart. We know that this time has been very difficult for really everybody. No one expected the last 10 months to go the way that they did. There are a lot of people out there who are struggling. And so I just wanted to be very clear that our office is here for anything that you need, or in any way that we can help. We may not always have the answers, but we are sure as hell trying. So whether that is COVID related, whether that's vaccination and the schedules, if you have questions about that, your unemployment, just please reach out to our office, because that's why we're here. We are going to do our best to get answers. We've been working every single day just to get answers and to provide clarity to those who have reached out, and then to also just prepare for any questions we do get. So please, everyone, reach out to us. Our contact information will be made available. It's on the corner of the screen there. That's my email. And we will continue to make it very public as to how to get a hold of our office, and to make sure that your questions are answered. So with that, we also last week, the governor held her State of the State, and so, kind of just reflecting for a second, I've been told, with the 2 weeks experience I have under my belt, it's not like I know everything, unfortunately, yet, but I've been told by many that the State of the State is one of the best days of the year. Usually in a normal environment, State of the State is just a really active day in Lansing. There's a lot of people out, and it's just a great time to meet people and to network, and to really, just start getting a lay of the land. Unfortunately, a COVID-related State of the State is a little bit different. This was one of the shortest State of the States on record, mostly because there's no formality of people standing up to give applause and things of that nature. But it was very effective. And so we were going to just kind of run through a little bit of the governor's thoughts on the State of the State, kind of shed some light. We actually issued a statement right after the State of the State with very much in depth of kind of things that we prioritized and things we felt great about. And so, hopefully a lot of you got a chance to catch it. If not, obviously not a problem. There's recordings of it. Otherwise, we are here. But really, the tone in which the governor opened with was really powerful, and that was kind of really relaying the message from our change at the federal administration to the top about just fighting for unity, compassion, and empathy, and really finding a road for all of us to start seeing eye to eye a little bit, and getting through this struggle, this pandemic together. And so that meant a lot to me. I think the last 4 years were really divisive, and just really tough on many different levels. And so I think it is great to be leading with the sense of unity and trying to come together. Obviously, things are easier said than done. I'm not naive to think that with one wish that everything will be fixed. But to be able to start this process, we're going to need to at least both be on the same page about the need to come together. And so I'm excited about that. COVID was a big part of the conversation. We talked about ramping up vaccine distribution. The goal is to get to 50,000 shots a day, which is going to be great. I think it's a great goal. The governor acknowledged that this is kind of like a locomotive train to get this whole thing going. It's going to start slow, but once we're kind of pick up our momentum, we're going to hopefully be just whistling down that track, and really just hopefully using 50,000 as a floor. So that'll be good. Obviously, the priority is to provide relief for our small businesses, to take care of our educators, to try to get students back into the classrooms, to make sure we're taking care of our frontline employees. And so, there's obviously a ton that we need to do, but, if everything goes to plan, and we kind of pick up in the areas that haven't been going well so far, we really hope to be able to get 70% of our population that's age 16 and up vaccinated as soon as possible, and which would be great. And so my understanding is that the vaccination is not approved for people under 16. I'm obviously not the expert in the room on that, but that's my understanding now. Additionally, though, I believe the Johnson & Johnson vaccination has been approved and should start making its way in next month, 4 to 6 weeks. The benefits of the Johnson & Johnson vaccination is that it does not have the same refrigeration requirements, and it's also just a single dose and not the need for the dual dose. And so there's some benefits of hopefully being able to purchase and get the Johnson & Johnson vaccination going into our rollout schedule as well. So that will be much needed and welcomed. But, the pandemic, unfortunately, has exacerbated a lot of the inequities that exist across our state. And so, we need to make sure that we are acknowledging what's happening. I know the governor has set up a number of task forces to work across these disparities that exist, these divides, whether they're racial or socioeconomic or whatever, that they shouldn't exist. And so I'm proud to work under an administration that acknowledges that these are real issues here in Michigan, and that regardless of how much money you make, what zip code you live in, and what color your skin is, or what background or belief you have, that you are entitled to the same thing as everyone else. And so I applaud the efforts to hopefully start closing some of those inequities. And so we get a number of questions about rolling the vaccination schedule out to other institutions. Like right now, they're mostly being administered through hospitals. There's been a number of pharmacists who have reached out to me saying that they're ready to use their pharmacy and their retail outlets. And so I think the long-term plan is to start rolling it out. Obviously, it needs to be done in a cadence that fits the overall plan. I believe the vaccinations are actually dispersed by the federal government, and they're working directly with MDHHS, Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, who's also working directly with local health departments. And so, there is a number of agencies that are coordinating here. The rollout did not get off to the best way possible. But what's really cool is there's a dashboard that's available through the MDHHS. Our staff will post a link through it, but you can get a running a pretty up-to-date tally of kind of where the state stands. And so just looking this morning, and so I think this was as of a day or two ago. It's not as of today, but it's pretty close. The state was dispersed nearly 1.5 million doses of vaccination. And it's really a 50-50 split between Moderna and Pfizer. Not that I don't think that means a ton. But that was nice to see. I thought that number was it's a good number to be at, and roughly over 900,000, close to 1 million of those have been administered. And so obviously we're not where we want to be. We want those numbers to going up. Here locally, we did receive some good news. Wayne County is going to be allocated. They doubled the weekly allocation. So we were receiving roughly over 4,000 vaccinations a week in Wayne County. This week, we'll be getting over 8,000. And those are just first doses. And so that's 8,000 new people who will be vaccinated this week in Wayne County alone. And so it's great to see those numbers going up. Obviously, we want those numbers to be high as possible. Just understand that it's a supply issue. There is no one in the state that wants this to take any longer than it is, or thinks we're going too fast. And so I have not been vaccinated. I want to make that very clear. My staff has not been vaccinated. We are in this with everyone else. What we are doing is remaining patient, social distancing, continue to follow guidance. Unfortunately, on this front, we have had news that the new mutant strain of COVID has entered Wayne County as of a couple days ago. And so that is highly contagious, much more than the normal COVID. And so the recommendation now is to double mask in public. It's a practice that I've been doing. And so I highly recommend everyone to not get fatigued. don't get burnt out. I know it's been a long road, but there is light at the end of the tunnel. The vaccinations have started. We're making decent progress, and we're only getting better. And I know a number of legislators here in the area, including myself, are advocating for more doses to Wayne County. That was answered in seeing the numbers of the doses being allocated to Wayne County doubling this week. So that's great news. So as long as we stay the course, we stay responsible, there is no reason to think that we can't all get through this together. But we need to continue to social distance, continue to wash your hands, continue to mask up, just follow the guidelines of the governor and the CDC in the executive office. But on that front, today is February 1st. So that is very relevant for a number of reasons. One, it is the start of Black History Month, which is awesome. And so our office will be doing a number of things throughout the month to commemorate and celebrate the achievements of so many African Americans in America's history that have done so much to help build this country and pave a path for all of us. And so I look forward to celebrating that with everyone. February 1st this year also means that it is the start of indoor dining across Michigan. And so restaurants are allowed to open their door and allow 25% capacity. And I believe there's a 10 p.m. strict curfew across the state. And it's funny because our office gets so many messages on both sides of this. Some people wish it was 50% capacity. Some people wish we didn't open doors. And so, I know it's a tough conversation for a lot of people. I know that they're very anxious to be able to get back into a restaurant and dine at some of their favorite restaurants, which they may have not been able to for the last few months. I think it's still the most responsible thing is probably still to get carry out. But we are eligible now to sit down in a restaurant at 25% capacity and dine in. And so that is only going to, and I believe there's a gradual schedule to hopefully get back to normal, obviously based on just the data that the state is seeing in terms of how they measure the metrics of the effects of COVID and hospitalization rates and COVID cases and positivity rates and all of that. And so, we obviously trust the guidance coming out. And there also was a ban on sports. So a number of high school sports were banned, and I shouldn't say banned, were suspended until February 21st for a few weeks here. We have received guidance that the people are looking into this. I haven't seen the data or anything, but I know that currently as it stands, sports are suspended until February 21st. And I also noted that some of the collegiate sports here were also put on hold for a while. So I don't know if that also applies to all colleges across Michigan, but it definitely does apply to high school sports. So that is something that we will continue to monitor. The latest guidance, and these things do change, and they're always reevaluated. So if any new guidance does come out, we will be sure to put them through to our channels. Again, you can follow us on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter. We will, we'll do our best. If you're not on social media, sign up to our e-news. Or feel free to email our office or call our office with any questions, and we'll be sure to get you the latest guidance that's available to our office. But communication is key. So please just figure out which form and works best for you. And we would, just love to be able to provide that information to you. So we had gotten into the vaccination schedule a little bit. So just a little bit more on that. Right now, our schedule is on, I believe, currently on 1B. So we are focusing on senior citizens in Michigan who are over the age of 65. We are focusing on childcare and pre-K staff, as well as essential workers, as well as care facility workers. So that could be, childcare staff, juvenile justice, homeless shelters, So if you work in any of those places, you are eligible to get your vaccination. Obviously, Group 1A, which was the healthcare workers and other long-term care workers and staff, are still eligible if they haven't received their vaccinations yet. But I think, from my understanding, we're solidly into 1B. The guidance on kind of the whole rollout is always evolving and changing. If anyone's interested, we can obviously provide that schedule to you. But this is going to take some time. Everyone in Michigan is not going to be vaccinated by March or April, which is what I think some people were either hoping or telling me the other day. And so I cannot guarantee when each and individual person will receive their vaccination. I just know that people are working on this very diligently to get this done as quickly as possible. But in the meantime, we need to remain patient, and it could still be months from now. And so as we get information, again, we'll be putting that out and sharing that with everyone. So thank you, everyone, for staying patient. Again, you can also go to your local health department's website. For us, that'll be in Wayne County's website. We will make sure to include a link to their dashboard. Again, as I mentioned earlier, the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, the MDHHS, also has a really great dashboard that can provide guidance. And so we'll make sure we provide links to both of those dashboards that can, again, answer questions. They both have great, FAQ sections that can answer a number of high-level questions. I believe they both have phone numbers where they can contact to deal with in more in-depth questions. But those would be just great resources to help answer COVID and vaccination related questions. And so I guess just kind of backing off the legislative side for a little bit. I know we've had a number of kind of Q&As, questions come in. We hope to kind of get into some of those, but just reiterating our plan for these coffee hours. This is our very first one, and so we are hoping to kind of use this as a gauge to figure out what's working. What can go better. So please don't be shy about any opinions. Just reach out to our office. You can leave a comment or send us an email. But let us know what times work for you, what days work for you. Do you guys prefer the virtual option? Because maybe when things normalize, maybe we'll continue doing virtual and make it a hybrid thing, and sometimes we'll be in person. So we're still kind of figuring that all out and kind of seeing what everyone's comfortable with. But I'm anxious to have some in-person contact when we're obviously safe and able to do so. So look forward to all that. But please let us know your thoughts and kind of what's working and what's not working. Make sure that you are subscribing to our e-news. Again, there are links that are going to be available in the chat functions that our staff will put to sign up for that. That's a bi-weekly newsletter that essentially summarizes everything that we're doing. You don't have to listen to me kind of run on for an hour, and you can kind of read at your own leisure and kind of get a sense of what's happening in Lansing, what our office is working on. Again, provides contact information and helpful resources. And so it's something that we put a lot of effort and thought into. I believe it's a very beneficial use of your time to kind of skim through that. I'm obviously biased though, but if you're able to, please just sign up, and then we will make sure we get those emails to you. Obviously, we will not share your emails with anyone else. This is strictly used just for this newsletter and for no other purpose. And so, please sign up if that works. We will. We also use that to announce the dates of coffee hours and kind of what's happening in the community. Speaking of the community, we haven't had a ton happening here, obviously for COVID related reasons. On a more somber note, there was a ceremony held in the Canton community by the Canton Leisure Services a week or two ago to commemorate or to memorialize, I should say, the loss of individuals through the that fell victim to COVID. And so it was a very tasteful ceremony that was done, very much needed. I had a chance to speak there and share my thoughts, and it meant a lot to me to be able to do that. I thought that was a very much needed ceremony. It's just a part of what I'd said there was, just people who have passed away, unfortunately didn't get to their lives weren't celebrated with nearly the respect that they deserved. A lot of people, unfortunately, who passed away in the middle of COVID, especially when in the worst of times, did so just very alone in a hospital setting that was cold and dark, weren't able to say goodbye to their loved ones. And it was just a really, hearing any of those stories was just absolutely heartbreaking. And and families on the other end weren't able to grieve the way they needed. And so this ceremony at least provided, obviously not nearly enough, but just some level of interaction to start that grieving process as a community, and to memorialize just the lives that were lost through COVID. And so that was a ceremony that we needed, and hopefully we don't need many more of those in the future. But I was thankful to be at that one. Also locally here, on a different note, the Belleville Tigers football season unfortunately came to an end a couple weeks ago. They fell short to West Bloomfield. It was an overtime thriller. West Bloomfield is represented by Representative Manoogian, and so her and I had a friendly exchange. But unfortunately, our side fell short. But I just wanted to congratulate them on such a wonderful season. And to all high school athletes, I know it's been tough for everybody. The virus has taken so much from all of us. And so we've all looked to kind of the arts and sometimes sports as just a refuge from just the craziness. And so just thank you for your great season and allowing our community here to get excited about something and take our minds off COVID for a little bit. So I wish everyone the best of luck in the future, and their future endeavors. I know that team is going to be good for years to come, and they have a number of players going on to play college football. And so but all the sports here, just thank you everyone for what you're doing. Unemployment. Sorry to kind of jump back into things. Unemployment is an area that I forgot to kind of get into. We received a number of updates. I know that there's been questions about some of the different forms of unemployment. I know the UIA system should be up and running. The PUA and the PEUC portals should be updated. Our office has received a number of questions regarding those. I know that there was some issues that folks were having in certifying some of their weeks. From my understanding, those portals are now active and people should be able to go back and certify weeks. Some of those are federal programs, and so I'm not 100% familiar on all of them, but that does not mean that we can't help. If you do have questions on either one of those, feel free to reach out. And we will, help kind of look into those inquiries. But from my understanding, there have been system updates, and people should be eligible to start certifying and hopefully receiving much needed relief for both of those programs. So again, please feel free to reach out to our office if we can help answer any questions with that. And with that, sorry, this has kind of run on, but we've had just a number of updates to share here. But with that, I think we're going to actually bring in some of our team and to help go over some of the questions that were asked in advance and throughout the program today. So I will bring in Hannah, and we'll start going through some of those questions.
Okay, so our first question here is from Rebecca, who is joining us on Facebook. She said, will you have the opportunity to work with Pete Buttigieg?
Sorry, I muted myself. Actually, I hope I do. And so our office is going to be very open to working with all levels of government. And so Obviously, Pete is at the federal level, or I should say Mr. Buttigieg is at the federal level, but we are going to be reaching out because I am on the Transportation Committee. I think that issues such as infrastructure actually bring in funding from the federal level, and these are things that we need to do a better job kind of coordinating. And so our office will be reaching out to try to coordinate with the federal level.
Great. Our second question is from Tracy on Facebook. She asked, what is being done about those who were involved in encouraging people with the terrorist act on the U.S. Capitol that occurred on January 6th?
Yes, this is a really relevant question, which I had hoped I wish I had gotten into earlier. So thank you for the reminder. And so there's a number of things that have been done. First and foremost, we obviously need to denounce all that activity. I mean, that was just, regardless of party, that was just a really sad day for American history. Unfortunately, there were legislators here in Michigan who, in my opinion, helped lend their voice to some of those efforts, and they need to be called out. So some of my colleagues, Rep. Camilleri, Rep. Ayash, have issued resolutions to start looking in to just the roles of individuals in our legislature to figure out exactly what happened. And then we are also calling on anyone that helped incite any of that to be called out and reprimanded. And so we are working on it, and it's very much a top of mind for us.
Okay, the next question here was submitted to us via email. The Michigan Dems just released a COVID-19 appropriations bill, and they just did a press conference on it while we were meeting on this call. But they said, can you talk about the Michigan House Dems COVID plan that was just released? And since it was just released, I sent you some stuff over on that also.
Awesome. Yeah. So, so yes, I mean, the focus is that the $5 billion of COVID recovery. And so, I think that, our caucus here, the Democrats, are being very vocal about making sure that we're able to provide relief to, the schools that need it, the small businesses that need it. Every time that I hear a story about some multi-generational family business that's going out of business as a result of COVID, it breaks my heart. And so I'm proud to absolutely stand with the House Democrats and asking for the $5 billion. A lot of that is federal money, and the allocation of it. I don't know all of it off the top of my head. I know roughly 100 million of that I think is for vaccination distribution. Close to 600 million of that is going to be for just COVID testing and contact tracing, and to follow the science to make sure that we can kind of rid our societies of this disease as quickly as possible. 2.1 billion of that is going to be for food assistance and much needed help across the state to making sure that we're taking care of working families. Nearly 700 million of it is, I believe, for like rent and just utility bills and things of that nature. And then last but not least, 2 billion of that is for the Michigan's public schools. And so that number might ring a bell for a lot of people because the other party has threatened to hold roughly $2.1 billion of funding hostage until the governor seizes some of her executive powers and pandemic powers. And so it's really, they're making, for making a long story short here, they're making a political play and using our children's public education money as a political pawn here. And so it's absolutely the wrong time to play politics. The political theater needs to stop. And at some point we need to start finding solutions for Michiganders. And so I urge everyone to contact your local legislators to let them know that the federal funding is very much needed in Michigan, that we should not be playing any sort of politics with funding for public schools or things like that. And so thanks for the question. And as more details come out about the $5 billion, we will absolutely will make sure that we make that public.
Okay, our next question was also submitted via email. It is a question related to standardized testing for our students this year. There's been some talk about canceling the standardized tests and the M-STEP with a waiver that was requested. This question is asking if that is going to be happening and what's the status of that.
Yes, and so I don't know the latest status. I believe the state superintendent on that one is asking for a waiver from the federal government on that. From my understanding, there are not many teachers across Michigan that think that we don't test enough, and so obviously within the confines of COVID, the standardized testing model, just given a lot of the inequities and access issues that we've had, just might not be the most efficient way. So I am supportive of hopefully being able to skip and make exceptions because of the pandemic. We will obviously keep everyone apprised with that, but yes, there is a push to skip the mandated M-STEP.
Okay, and then this question is, you touched on a little bit earlier, but more related to unemployment assistance. They would like to know how to get in contact with the office. What's the best way to do that if they need assistance with an unemployment claim?
Yes, so the most efficient way is actually to visit our website. So we have made a portal to make this process as streamlined as possible. We are not trying to get caught up in exchanging a bunch of emails and drawing this out. So we want to provide relief as quickly as possible. So actually the most efficient way is to go to and we'll post this in the chat, but it's housedems.com/Ranjiv Puri, just my first and last name. So housedems.com/Ranjiv Puri. And then there's a form set up there where you can just click on a green button that's called unemployment assistance form. You can't miss it. It's just a green button. And once you fill out that form, it actually sends an email directly to me, to my district box, in which we can start processing that claim on the back end, and we will stay in touch with you as we receive updates. But that is the most efficient way to handle this. Obviously, if that is not accessible to you for whatever reason, please feel free to contact my office, whether email or phone or by phone. And we'll post our phone number as well, and we can walk you through those steps. But what we're going to tell you on the phone is to do that if possible.
Great. Next question pertains to the governor, state of the state, about the funds the governor announced in the state of the state for teachers. Can need something on that too, just get the most up to date info there for
so it was great to see that the governor is trying to do something for our teachers. Listen, I mean, talk about a profession that is continuously beat down. Whatever we can do for our teachers is not enough. We absolutely need to take care of our teachers, make sure that they have a safe environment. Yes, I believe there are programs and I'm not 100% sure on the specifics of it, but there are programs, I think through the HEROES Act, where teachers will receive $500 and support staff will receive $250. For anyone interested in this, please feel free to reach out to our office, and we will make sure that we provide and keep you up to date on information that we receive on how to apply and how that all works. But in terms of the appropriations for it and all that stuff, I don't know off the top of my head. But if anyone's interested in the education relief, whether you're a teacher or support staff, please feel free to reach out to our office, and we will absolutely be happy to help navigate that for you.
Okay, the next question pertains to resources and financial relief and grant opportunities that are available for workers or small businesses during this time. So in terms of what's out there for people.
Yeah, so there has been a number of programs that were put out, and and so I'm trying to kind find my list, which I'm struggling to find here, but there was a number. I remember there was the employee assistance grant, which I believe was 45 million for employees across the state, where they were eligible for up to about 1,700. I believe that one unfortunately is expired. There was the small business survival grant, which was another 55 million, and businesses, I believe, were awarded up to $20,000. That one expired about a week or two ago as well. There was the Michigan Stages Survival Grant, which I thought was a really unique program. It was roughly about $4 million that was allocated for venues such as concert halls and theaters that derive their sales from tickets that obviously weren't able to kind of hold plays or shows. And so I know we had a number of local venues here apply for that. And so I'm not sure if that one I think also recently expired. But if you are a venue, reach out to us. We can double check that one. There's the stimulus package that the House Dems are introducing here, which will have some level of relief as well. And then there's obviously the federal programs. There's the second round of the PPP, which I know a number of businesses were able to take advantage of. And so any questions that you have relating to relief and programs, whether you're a business, please feel free to reach out to our office, and we'll be happy to look into all eligible programs for your specific needs.
So I think we just got one more question in here I see coming in from Facebook. And then if anyone has any last questions, that type of thing, make sure to get them in the chat for us. Otherwise, you can always email our office. But this last question here says, when will professional workers receive the vaccine? So maybe if we could touch base one more time on what that timeline is for getting the vaccine out.
Yes. So I don't want to misspeak here. My understanding is that we're still looking in roughly the summer months in terms of kind of getting through the priority list. But that schedule has changed twice from what I've seen. So if you have specific questions, again, just please feel free to reach out to our office so we can send you the latest guidance. And if anything changes, we'll send you an update to that. But without kind of quoting specific months, I think we're looking at kind of the late second quarter, early third quarter for kind of just non-essential, quote unquote, healthy young individuals. But again, as guidance changes, as supply increases or decreases, we will keep you kind of abreast as to any changes, any guidance that we receive. But we're kind of predicting the future a little bit, and so it's hard to tell, but we're still a number of months out from the latest and current scenario.
Great. And one thing I will add to that, I know that our office is sending, when constituents reach out to ask about the vaccine, we will kind of refer you to Wayne County and the health department there. Their website has a lot of good resources, FAQs, images and graphics, those sorts of things that kind of break down when you're eligible, when you may be eligible, if you already are eligible, what types of work specifically is already looped in with those 1A and 1B groups that are receiving the vaccine. So the county website has really good resources for those who would like some more information as well. Okay, it looks like that is all of our questions today. So let's check one more. I think we're all good. So if you want to wrap it up, Ranjiv.
Yes, thank you, Hannah. Thank you, Ashley, for all your help today. And thank you, everyone, for watching. This was our first go around, so take it easy on us a little bit. So hopefully if you had any technology issues, if you couldn't hear us or anything of that nature, just reach out to our office. It should be hopefully abundantly clear in the chat how to get a hold of us. Just email us, call us, whatever works for you. And we'll be happy to take your questions and concerns. But in any way, if we can help, whether it's vaccination rollout, unemployment, any sort of constituent need, feel free to reach out to our office. We look forward to staying engaged with all of you and having just a very clear form of communication. Sign up for our email updates and just stay up to date with everything we're doing. We look forward to helping all of you. Again, thanks for watching. Sorry this ran on a little bit, but I look forward to continuing these coffee hours, hopefully moving to a place where we can do these in person. Again, hopefully everyone's doing fine and staying healthy, and look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks, everyone.